everyone, and welcome back. As always, I am your girl, Candy Washington, and I am so excited for us just to have a fun kiki talking about the latest episode of Married to Medicine, Season 9, Episode 5, An Axe to Grind. Dun, 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 dun. So, my beautiful candy canes, as you come into the room, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, drop your candy canes. Hey, Lammy! Hey, Lamar. Hey, Lammy. What's up? How are you? He goes, yo. Hey, how are you, Lammy? What's up? That's right, you guys. As you come in, say hello, drop your candy canes, and let's get into it. Remember, a kiki is always better with the community, so share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join us. All right, let's get into it. So, Married to Medicine, Married to Medicine, Married to Medicine. You guys know I watched the show for you ever since they got rid of my girl Mariah. I've been feeling some type of way. But did you catch that now on the credits after the whole lawsuit, it always said executive producer Mariah Huq, but now it says concept by Mariah Huq. So boom, we all know she won her lawsuit, which is super exciting. Go Mariah, go girl. All right, let's get into the episode. So we start out with the guys going to the axe throwing event, and Kieran is as annoying and boring and weird and awkward as always. I want to start a change.org petition to get Kieran and Anila off the show. They are boring, they're disrespectful, they're weird. Anila is such a pick-me when it comes to Dr. Heavenly, and Kieran just didn't read the room. Like, you're being so disrespectful to Eugene for literally no reason. And he does this weird thing. I wasn't going to say it on the last live I did about this, but I'm just going to say it now. Kieran reminds me of, and I don't want to get canceled for this, but I'm going to be honest. Like, when I went to predominantly white schools and white spaces, and you could always tell when they had a certain minority who really tried so hard to try too hard to fit in with white culture. But follow me on this. I know that Married to Medicine isn't white culture. Obviously, everyone on there is Black or Indian, right? But Kieran's vibe, the way he bugs his eyes out, the way he has these weird, oh, I'm being sarcastic, oh, I won't joke, oh, blah, 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 just reminds me of, a really weird, wannabe white dude doing weird stuff, trying to fit in that space, if that makes sense. It's really bizarre to me. I don't like Kieran. I don't like his vibe. I don't like any of that. I thought he was super disrespectful. I don't think the joke was funny. I think it was malicious. I agree with what who says it? It was Dr. Simone's husband, or was it Dr. Jackie's husband? I think it was Dr. Jackie's husband. He was right. If Toya and Anila were in a good space, it would have been funny. Then it would have been a joke. But since they weren't in a good space, that's malicious and that's shade, and it's not okay. And Kieran really just showed his slip on how weird and off-putting he is. And I really want to talk to Miss Gomez. I want to talk to Mrs. Gomez. Mrs. Gomez, if you're out there, come on my YouTube channel. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it, okay? I want to talk to Ms. Gomez about this. This is an issue. What was really going on in the house? Okay, but they seem to be able to solve their problem. However, rock with me on this and let me know if you agree or disagree with this position. I usually am team Dr. Damon Daddy all day long. I usually think he's really smart. I usually think he is, sort of abused by Dr. Heavenly, to be honest. He every time he tries to talk, she just talks over him, But I kind of wanted to tell him, shut up. When he inserted himself at the axe throwing event between Kieran and Eugene, I thought his point was irrelevant and was really stupid to me. And I'll tell you why. So Dr. Damon Daddy interjects himself and he's like, well, he who doesn't have a splinter or a plank or whatever the heck he said, like it's a Bible quote. I don't mean to be disrespectful. Um, who doesn't have a splinter or a plank in his eye, cast the first stone or something like that. And he's like, all of our wives have said things about me, and I just, let it roll off my back. And I'm not. I don't take it. I don't get hurt or as upset as I did, 5 or 7 years ago. Well, Dr. Damon, you're telling on yourself. The fact that you're even bringing it up means you're still in your feelings about it. You're still in your feelings about it. And clearly you're talking about Toya, talking about, Dr. Heavenly in the house and all of that stuff and going back and forth. Or even maybe she has said stuff about Damon. However, that is not the point at all. The only point that Eugene was making, which I believe was the correct point, is that regardless of what our wives say and do to each other and about each other, the men don't do that to each other, because then it takes the situation to a different level. It's a different level. It's a different dimension. It's a different dynamic once you get the men in the pettiness of it all. That was the only actual point Eugene was trying to make. He was like, listen, our wives go at it. It's the show. That's what they signed up for. But us men stay out of it. It would have been one thing if Anila showed up and she was like, I'm the Anila mover, blah, 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 blah. And Eugene got upset. That would be one thing. But Eugene actually wasn't upset at Anila. He was upset at Kieran, because Kieran is supposed to be his boy, but the men don't get in the pettiness with it. And it wasn't a funny joke. So I agree with Eugene. I think they were being disrespectful. I think they were being hella rude. I think Dr. Damon Daddy was just in his feelings about maybe people exposing some of his stuff that him and Dr. Heavily never want to talk about. I didn't really get his point. I'm just like, you're still in your feelings. If you're talking about it, you're in your feelings about it. If it's on your mind, if it's coming out of your mouth, you're in your feelings about it, right? So there's that. What else happened? Okay, so Contessa's bodybuilding competition. Not gonna lie, I was low-key like jotting down the diet. I was like, okay, so half a cup of steel cut oats, 3 egg whites. Like, what is going on here? But yeah, for me, I'm just gonna let go and let God handle my body. But yeah, but I'm excited for Dr. Contessa. I think that's good for her. I still think that her and her husband Scott's reconciliation is still financially driven, and it's also show driven. I think they want to stay on the show as a couple. I think it's probably financially in their best interest at this point to stay together rather than try and go through a divorce and cut up assets and all of that stuff. Do I think they're 100% happy families? Maybe, maybe not, but we'll see. Again, I don't like to talk on people's children because they're children, but Contessa's daughter, the one who's like the busybody one, what is going on with that situation? Like, I'm confused on what is going on there. Like, she doesn't want Contessa to be around anybody. She doesn't want Contessa and her own father to kiss. She's, fighting people, and she's calling people's names. And I'm just sort of like, what is going on with the daughter? There's a lot of little mini red flags there. Again, I want to be respectful because it is a child and it's her child. But if you're putting your child on television and we're all seeing these sort of weird behaviors, then we can comment on it. But I want to know what's going on with the daughter. Like, maybe the daughter might need, maybe like child therapy to work through her emotions and stuff, having parents that, were on the brink of divorce and being on TV and everything that's happening. Maybe she's acting out in these ways because she has, unresolved emotions. Couples go to couples therapy, but we can't forget that children also live in the household. If you have an unhappy couple, you can pretty much guarantee you have unhappy children. So sometimes I think couples will go to therapy for themselves, for their relationship, and they forget about the fact that the kids live there too. And kids aren't stupid. Kids are smart. Kids pick up. Kids witness things. So I'm kind of like, what is going on with Contessa's daughter? There might be some issues that we need to figure out there. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Dr. Heavenly's apology tour was fake AF. Am I the only one whose Dr. Heavenly's voice is like grating? it's like grating on me. It's like, it's like this weird, just her, the tone and the pitch of her voice is grating. And then she brings on her friend, Audra, who has the same annoying type voice, but like in a different way. Did anybody else notice that? I'm like, what is going on? And Audra, to me, she's annoying already. Like, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Audra? I felt Audra came in hot. I think she really came in hot. Like, I don't know why she thought it was her place to insert herself in the Toya and Dr. Simone beef at the table. Hey, Darren. Hey, that's right. You guys drop your candy canes. What's up? Hey, Darren. Like, I don't know why Audra felt the need to insert herself at the table when it was Toya. Toya was being a little ridiculous, but we all know Dr. Jackie has her eating and drinking and body image stuff going on. We'll just leave it at that. So her calling her out, I thought was a little, maybe insensitive, maybe not understanding that maybe Dr. Jackie, again, I never want to be disrespectful. I always want to know my place. But if we're seeing behavior, then we can comment on it, right? Maybe Dr. Jackie has maybe not the healthiest relationship to food and body image. Just because you're thin doesn't mean that your mindset is healthy or you're living a healthy life. You know what I'm saying? So I think what Dr. Jackie eats and what she drinks and what she consumes, I think she is very, very much likes to control it, and she puts a lot of weight into it, maybe not in the healthiest mindset way. So I think maybe Toya was missing the underlying fact that maybe Dr. Jackie doesn't have the healthiest relationship with her body and food. But in Toya's mind, she's just like, shots, everybody eat, everybody drink, do you, how come, blah, blah, blah. And also, I thought it was inappropriate on Toya's behalf because you never know why someone isn't drinking. Maybe someone isn't drinking because they're on a medication that they're not supposed to mix with alcohol. Maybe someone isn't drinking because they don't have a healthy relationship with alcohol. Maybe somebody isn't drinking simply because they do not want to drink. You know what I mean? I'm not a big drinker either. And when I do drink, I get loopy because I'm a lightweight, So sometimes I go out and I don't drink just because I don't want to. So I thought Toya was dead wrong, but I also thought Audra was wrong and super annoying for trying to make a moment and insert herself when nobody else was inserting themselves. Audra, you just got here. Who are you? Like, calm down, take a step back. Weird to me. But again, with Dr. Heavenly apology tour, that was fake. It was so fake. Dr. Heavenly literally was just trying to save her job. She was trying to make sure that the girls would still film with her so she wouldn't get iced out. I think Dr. Heavenly thinks that she was still right. I think she thinks that she was being funny. I think she thinks she has the right to talk about her cast members and talk about other people. I don't think she actually has any type of awareness that she's disrespectful and that she's wrong and that she's projecting and that she's deflecting from her own problems that she has in her own marriage. Because word on the street is Dr. Damon Daddy has his own side piece at the office. And he's out the moment Alora goes to college. But I think we all know that, right? Allegedly. So there is that with Dr. Heavenly. What I am interested in seeing and why I'm getting more invested in this season, are you guys catching the cracks between Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Jackie's friendship? Because again, I truly believe the only reason why Dr. Jackie and Dr. Heavenly got so close was because Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone had their falling out. So when Dr. Jackie felt that Dr. Simone was more on Buffy was more on Buffy's side than hers, she got really hurt. She got into her feelings. And so she attached herself to Dr. Heavenly during the time when they had their little falling out, right? And now that Dr. Simone and Dr. Jackie are back on the good foot, now that they're back together, I think we're going to start to see Dr. Jackie distance herself more from Dr. Heavenly. I don't think it's going to be as frickin' frack as they used to be or as close. Now they're calling themselves like the Golden Girls, but it's pretty clear Dr. Simone and Dr. Jackie are the two friends, and now Dr. Heavenly's on the outskirts. And again, people always tell themselves, Dr. Heavenly being like, oh, Dr. Jackie didn't want to, room with me in Vegas because she had to appease Dr. Simone because she's the most fragile or something like that. She's the most sensitive. But no, boo boo, it's you, Dr. Heavenly. You're the most fragile. You're the most sensitive. And that's why you're justifying it by projecting how you feel onto Dr. Simone. I think Dr. Simone is stronger than you are, Dr. Heavenly. Dr. Jackie, definitely. You're actually the one who's the most fragile. And you're actually the one who got your feelings hurt because the girls didn't want to bunk with you. And they made that very clear. And Dr. Jackie chose her true best friend for life, her true BFF, which has always been and will always be Dr. Simone. And just realize, Dr. Heavenly, you were a placeholder. You were used until Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone could get their relationship back together and their friendship back together, basically. Right? That's basically what happened. You're the fragile one. So this episode, Dr. Damon Daddy disappointed. I was like, you're in your feelings because Toya made fun of you. That has nothing to do with what's going on with Eugene and Karen. And then Contessa with her bodybuilding competition. I want to see how that's going to go. I think the next episode, there's going to be more juice. There's going to be more meat. I think we're going to see Dr. Contessa and Dr. Heavenly get more into it in Vegas. Audra to me is very annoying, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with her with the other ladies and all of that going on. But overall, I thought the episode was good. I think it's one of those episodes where they are laying out the playing field for things to come. They're foreshadowing. Like, I bet you in the next couple episodes, we're going to see a blow up between Dr. Jackie and Dr. Heavenly, right? I think we're going to see a blow up between Dr. Heavenly and Contessa. I think we're going to see Audra not actually get along with the girls. There's going to be some mess going on there. I want to see, I don't know if we will, but I want to see Quad really check Dr. Heavenly, because again, Dr. Heavenly did her little apology tour and like, oh no, we're all good. So we'll see what happens there. But I think this episode really was just setting us up for the rest of the season and who's going to be beefing, who's going to have issues, and what's going to go down. Again, to me, I don't know why Anila was there. Boring. I'm sick of her storyline about her nanny and being a blogger. Like, I'm sick of it. Like, we got it. Miss Gomez was just like, I need to get the hell out of here. Because clearly Anila's husband is a mess. He's rude. He's a weirdo. Her kids, again, I don't speak on children, but it seems like they may have been a bit of a handful. You know, like they're kids. Maybe it's like a bit of a handful. And then Anila seemed completely checked out of, you know, even parenting. It seemed like she realized for the first time she had kids. She was like, I don't know what to do. I think bringing her mother in her household is a mistake. I think if your partner does not have a good relationship with your parent, moving the parent in, maybe for like a couple of weeks, but any type of long-term solution, I always think is a bad idea. But this is if you have a healthy relationship and a good spouse. Like, as much as I don't like Anila and Karen, I do think that they are in love and they have a good marriage. So I think that's fine. But I think Anila asking to bring her the way her mother-in-law has been, which has been disrespectful and rude and condescending and all that stuff. Exactly. Hey, unapologetically me. They brought Audra so Heavenly would have someone to fill with because things are going to get bad. Exactly. That's a 100%. That's why I think this episode is really just setting up for the pop-offs and the blow-ups. And Audra has now come on to be Dr. Heavenly's mouthpiece. Dr. Heavenly did her tour, so she felt like the girls wouldn't ice her out and she could keep her job. But Audra is annoying already. I thought she was annoying in her confessional. I thought it was fake and forced. She tried to throw shade and then did that weird look, and it just seemed very contrived. It seemed really fake and scripted when she was like allegedly trying to call Heavenly out. Like, oh, Heavenly, you know, we heard that you were, you know, talking about people's husbands and marriages. That seemed really fake and forced with Audra. Seemed like her pretending to have any type of unbiasedness, but it's clear that They're bringing her in to be Dr. Heavenly's friend because I think Dr. Heavenly has already fallen out with the majority of the women, but I think she's going to fall out with all of them. Like all of them in a much bigger way, and I'm interested in seeing that. What I'm most interested in seeing is the fallout between Dr. Jackie and Dr. Heavenly. Like, I want to see how that's going to go down because Dr. Jackie really gives zero, and I mean zero F's about what Dr. Heavenly has to say. Like, literally. Like, Contessa's all having a breakdown in the corner about Dr. Heavenly's YouTube channel. Anila is pretending like it doesn't hurt her because she wants to stay up Heavenly's butt. Quad is probably just trying to squash it so nothing else is exposed about the secrets that she's told Dr. Heavenly. Toya and Dr. Heavenly, they beef all the time. Toya's in her feelings, not as much as Dr. Contessa because the expectation of friendship wasn't there. Dr. Simone doesn't mess with Heavenly, but I do think she still gets affected by what she says. Not on the level of Toya and Contessa, but she still gets affected by it. But Dr. Jackie really gives zero F's. Dr. Jackie gives zero F's because she does not respect Dr. Heavenly, and she gives zero F's because her and her husband are now friends. She said it herself on the other episode. She was like, I don't care. She's like, it doesn't actually, I don't care if she said something about my husband. Because quiet as a kept, I bet you Dr. Jackie thinks and probably gets a kick out of Dr. Heavenly talking about her husband because she's not in love with them. And to me, they're friends now. To me, they're friends. They're people who've been married forever. And it's just an easier route to stay together. Stay together. You know? Hey, unapologetically me, Audra is doing too much to be the new girl. That's exactly what I said. I agree 100%. She came in hot and annoying and fake and very, very phony. When Quad finds out Heavenly says something else, that's going to be an issue. So does Quad find out during this season that she said something else? Or because don't they only watch after they wrap? But maybe she said something else that wasn't that shady producer moment. See, I'm excited. I am excited that this is the season of the Dr. Heavenly takedown. I've said this since day one. She's mean and she's nasty. And the only reason why I'm excited for this takedown is because she gets pleasure out of hurting other people. And that's a hard type of person to watch. And that's a hard type of person to root for. Like, you see it in her face that when she thinks she's saying something nasty to you, when she thinks she's saying something mean to you, she gets pleasure out of it. And even with the apology tour, you could tell she got pleasure that they were so bothered by it. Not because she actually felt bad for what she said. And not because she actually felt like she did or said anything wrong, if that makes sense, right? She literally got pleasure out of it. And that's a sick, twisted, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs person. And also, if you notice in all the confessionals, and even in the events, anytime Dr. Damon tries to talk and Heavenly is there, do you notice that she interrupts him and finishes a sentence with what she wants to say? And he just kind of goes, it's like battered spouse syndrome. Like, watch the confessionals. Watch when they are together. Anytime Dr. Damon tries to talk and Heavenly is there, she cuts him off and she finishes the sentence and then he just looks defeated. So, poor Dr. Damon. What else is up? Do you guys have any other questions or comments? Does anybody want to come up and chat? I mean, I really still think that the episode was a filler. Not a filler. I think it was a prelude for what's to come, right? It's a prelude for what's to come. So let me know what you guys think. If you have any more questions or comment about the show or about the ladies or any tea. But I think that was pretty much the whole thing. Unapologetically, me, yes. As soon as Laura leaves, I think he is out. 100%. 100%. Again, I don't think this happens all the time and not to stereotype, but I think sometimes men and women will have children in order to trap the other person. Men do it too. Men will knock a woman up thinking that's going to keep her. I think Dr. Heavenly put her sights on Dr. Damon Daddy. She put her claws in, and she knew, given his childhood and his relationship with his father, I believe his father really wasn't there and all of this stuff. She knew that if she had his baby, he would stay. So I think she trapped him. And I think the moment Alora, I'm talking day one of freshman year, is settled in, he's out with his girlfriend. Because he looks like a prisoner. He looks like a prisoner and he doesn't look happy. He's super quiet on the show. The only time he ever speaks up was this episode to talk about splints and planks in people's eyes, when the truth is, Dr. Damon Daddy, you're just in your feelings because your wife talks trash to people, and then now you're in your feelings when they talk trash back about your wife and your family and your house. It's really not their fault, because the truth is, your wife starts it. The biggest plank in somebody's eye, Dr. Damon, is yours with your wife. The majority of the smoke that Dr. Heavenly, Dr. Damon, their household, whatever, has gotten has been blowback smoke, retaliation smoke. Nobody has really started anything with Dr. Heavenly. She starts it, and then she plays victim when somebody else wants to retaliate or say something back. You know what I mean? Hey, unapologetically me, remember she said she trapped him on one of the trips. Exactly. She did. She sets her sights out. She knew what type of man he was, and she trapped him. But this is a PSA to everyone. Even if you have a child with someone, if you're not in love, if you're not happy, you don't have to stay with them. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to stay with that person. If you're not happy, get out. Get out. Because look at what's going on with Contessa's daughter, with her outbursts and everything. And again, I don't say that to be disrespectful to a child. I would never speak ill of a child. I'm just saying, since the child is on the show and we are seeing this behavior, it shows you that children are affected by the parents' relationship. That's all I'm saying. No disrespect to children at all. So yeah, if you're in a situation where it's not good, get out. Hey, Darren, he goes, I'm ready to see how the ladies handle Dr. Heavenly at the reunion. We've been ready for this epic takedown. I know. I think it's going to be a really good season. I think everything is being now really prepped and foreshadowed for the big, blowouts. And I'm excited to see, how the ladies handle this. And I also want to see how Dr. Heavenly is going to handle this, because she's not used to being held accountable. She's not being used to truly being held accountable for how she treats people and what she says and what she does. And so I'm ready for it. I would love it if they brought Mariah out during the reunion as a special guest, or if they let Mariah host. Could you imagine if she was the host of the reunion? That would be amazing. I would definitely be here for that. But yeah, Audra, already annoying, too hot out the gate. We'll see Contessa's body. Dr. Heavenly, where I know the deal. What are we feeling for, Dr. Simone? I guess her storyline is the book, right? The book she's doing with her husband. I guess that's her storyline. But I also just like watching Dr. Simone and Dr. Jackie, and I'm really happy that they're back together. But I do want to see what happens with Dr. Jackie and Dr. Heavenly. I think that's going to be a formidable match, because Dr. Jackie's not going to get in her feelings. She's not going to react to Dr. Heavenly's antics. I think she's going to very politely put her in her place. You know what I mean? All right, you guys, that was it for today's recap of Married to Medicine Season 9, Episode 5, I believe, in Acts 2 Grind. So yeah, unless you guys have any other questions or comments, we're going to wrap it up. And as always, if you've had fun and this was a good Kiki, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share, because a Kiki is always better with community. I love you, my beautiful candy canes. Drop them below. Either later today or tomorrow, we'll be doing some hot topics. We'll be doing the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Real Housewives of Dubai. Speaking of the Real Housewives of Dubai, on my next recap, I'm going to be reading the tweets that I got from Caroline Brooks because she was very much in her feelings about my last recap. I think I hit a nerve, and her response kind of confirms everything I thought, but we're going to get into it. That's why you got to subscribe and hit the bell. You got to subscribe with the bell. But I'm going to read her response so we can read the receipts, but it's also in the community tab, so you can go over there and check it out now before we do our recap. All right, you guys, I love you so much, and I will talk to you later. Bye.